You ever feel like your mind just has a mind of its own? Like it's being pulled in a million different directions and you're just along for the ride? Well, what if I told you that a 2,000-year-old text has a surprisingly modern guide to understanding all that mental chaos? Today, we're cracking open an ancient Buddhist sutra that has some seriously timeless advice on how to get a handle on our own attention. Let's get into it.
So, all of this comes from the Sutra on the Right Practice, translated into Chinese almost 2,000 years ago. Now, this isn't just some dusty old scroll. Think of it more like a practical user's manual for the human mind, and we are going to unpack its core teachings together.
All right, here's our roadmap. We're going to follow the Buddha's own logic here. First, we'll meet the 5 thieves that are hijacking our focus. Then we'll see how they create a whole chain of suffering. After that, we'll look at the solution, the path to clarity, what an unshakable mind really is, and finally, what it means to be totally free from the whole cycle.
Okay, so let's jump right into the main problem. The sutra uses this amazing metaphor for all the internal stuff that pulls us off track. It calls them the 5 thieves, and they're living right inside our own heads.
It's a pretty wild question, right? He isn't talking about someone breaking into your house. The Buddha is pointing at something much, much closer to home. These thieves, as we're about to see, are the very things that make up our daily experience.
So who are these thieves? Well, they're not some mysterious, shadowy figures. They're actually the 5 basic building blocks of our reality. You've got form. That's the physical world around you. Sensation, pleasure, pain, that pins and needles feeling. Perception, that's our thoughts, how we label everything. Volition, our urges, our habits, our intentions. And finally, consciousness itself, just that raw, basic awareness. Think about how a simple phone notification, a form, hijacks your eyes, or how one little comment creates a sensation of anxiety. The sutra says our senses are constantly tricking us. Our eyes see, but they can't hear. Our ears hear, but they can't see. And the root of all this trickery? It's the mind. So, letting these 5 thieves run rampant in your head, it's not a small problem. In fact, the Buddha taught that this lack of awareness kicks off a huge domino effect, this chain reaction that basically locks us into a cycle of stress and dissatisfaction.
Yeah, think of it literally like a chain with 12 links. Once that first link clicks into place, the second one automatically follows, and then the third, and on it goes. Before you know it, the whole chain is built, and it's trapping us in this endless loop of highs and lows, birth and death. And the crazy part is, it all starts from just one single point.
And here it is, the whole 12-link chain. Look at what's right at the top. Number 1, ignorance. That's the root of everything. That ignorance leads to our habits and impulses, the volitional formations, which then shapes our consciousness. You can see how it snowballs, right? Our senses make contact. We have a feeling, we develop a craving for it or an aversion to it, we start grasping. This creates the momentum for becoming, which leads to a new birth, and inevitably, to death. But the real key, the most important thing to see here, is that this entire complicated mess is powered by that very first link, ignorance.
So what exactly does the sutra mean by ignorance? It's not about being dumb or not knowing stuff for a test. It's a much deeper kind of blindness. The text gives examples, like not respecting your parents, not really thinking about the reality of suffering, or meeting wise people but never bothering to ask them questions. It's basically being clueless about where our actions are actually taking us, and that's the fuel for the whole chain.
Okay, so we've identified the thieves. We've seen the chain they create, and it sounds pretty bleak, I know. But here's the turn. The second half of the sutra is all about the solution. It's a clear, step-by-step prescription for how to break that chain and find some real clarity.
And the path starts with a solid foundation in how you live your life, the 5 precepts. These are super practical guidelines for just calming down the external chaos in our lives, so you refrain from killing, from stealing, from sexual misconduct, from lying and harsh speech, and from intoxicants that cloud the mind. By just trying to avoid causing harm, we create the stable ground we need to do the deeper inner work.
Now, with that foundation set, the real practice begins. This is how you go toe-to-toe with those 5 thieves. You turn your attention inward, and you just watch. You observe your body, the feeling of breath, warmth, cold. You observe your sensations as they pop up and fade away. You observe your mind itself, the thoughts, the moods, the intentions. And you just observe all of it, inside and out, without getting caught up in it. This is basically shining a light on everything that was previously just running on autopilot.
So what's the payoff? What happens when you actually do this? When you start watching the thieves and cleaning up your act?
Well, the sutra has some really beautiful ways to describe how the mind completely transforms.
This slide just nails it. The text says, "An untrained mind is like a dirty mirror. It can't see anything clearly through all the smudges. It's also like a river, just getting carried away by every single thought and feeling. But with practice, it becomes like a polished mirror, reflecting reality just as it is. It becomes stable, like a solid rock that the river has to flow around."
And this is one of the most powerful, direct instructions in the whole text. Just hold your mind like a stone. The sutra explains that this means a mind that the rain can't wash away, the sun can't dry out, and the wind can't move. It's a mind that has found its own center of gravity, totally independent of whatever's happening on the outside. Now, having an unshakable mind isn't just about feeling good or being calm. It's the actual key that unlocks the final destination of this whole journey, complete and total liberation from that chain of suffering we looked at earlier.
The sutra calls this ultimate goal nirvana. It's a state of deep, deep peace where the fires of greed, hatred, and that root ignorance have finally burned out. It's not about escaping to some other place. It's about a profound transformation of your whole being, right here, that frees you from that automatic reactive cycle. According to the text, this practice is what allows someone to finally step off the hamster wheel of the 5 paths. These are all the different realms of existence we can be born into, from heavenly states to really painful ones, all driven by our past actions, our karma. To be enlightened means you've broken that cycle. You're no longer being pulled back into any of these realms.
And here's the really encouraging part. It's not an all-or-nothing deal. The sutra lays out 4 distinct stages of progress. You start as a stream enterer, someone who's had their first real glimpse of nirvana. Then you progress to being a once-returner and a non-returner, getting closer and closer until you finally become an arhat, someone who is totally and completely free. It shows that it's a gradual path, something anyone can walk. And so we end right back where we started, with that powerful metaphor of the river. This 2,000-year-old guide isn't just ancient philosophy. It's an invitation for us to look at our own minds, not as a source of confusion, but as something we can actually understand and even transform. So the question it leaves us with is a really personal one. If your mind is a river, what is it carrying today? And where is it taking you?